Welcome to another episode of StuTube, everyone. Bitcoin is looking strong as hell, and although I've been openly bearish for the last several months, I'm so very close to flipping Moonboy again, you guys. In my opinion, the bears are literally right now at their last line of defense before the macro trend, basically, I've been following since early June now, is actually broken. Again, still standing by my theory that basically we got to break above 70K. Until I'm uber moon boyish. But even right now, just where we stopped here, where we found rejection here, I am actually in a little bit of a short. I just shared it with you guys in the MDX ALGO VIP Discord there. I don't know how this is going to play out. Honestly, I think the bulls look very strong. My only reasons for taking this position, basically I had a few reasons actually. If I go out to the daily chart, everyone looks at this bull flag a little bit differently. I'm looking at it as a bit of a swing fail still. I understand that, yes, candle bodies were getting a nice retest. That is absolutely true, and this could, in fact, be bullish as hell. Let me just try and find... I don't typically use... yeah, I don't know, even something like that if we want to kind of take the average and whatnot. Yeah, I absolutely see the argument for that we would be flipping resistance into support at this time. And I agree that the bulls look very strong. Here's my only concern is the way that I personally like to use diagonal trend lines. Everyone has their own methods, but this is just what I've done my personal back testing with. So this is how I draw diagonal trend lines. I like exact wick touches. I think that if you're looking for the average of all the touch points, if you're looking for candle bodies, you still have that wiggle room of where the wicks are going. And if I use the exact wicks, that is the exact outer range of the trend, of the channel, or whatever kind of a trend line you're watching, right? So, that's why I'm looking at this. This is the daily chart, so I'm just taking our first two touch points here and extending it. And yes, although this isn't like, I would never set a blind order on this kind of a trend line, okay? I want to be very clear about that. Yes, it's potentially resistance, but I'm never looking for that just, yeah, I'm all in on a short because this is possibly going to be resistance. What I like to see is something like this, is that, hey, we got above it very briefly, but we turned it into a bit of a, to me, it looks like a bit of a swing fail, right? Yes, we got above, but we never really stayed above. We never flipped that resistance into support. And where we are right now, we have just retested that. So to me, it looks like there's a chance we got above that trend line, lost it, and are now respecting it from the other side. That's very easily invalidated, but the reason I love this type of trade setup is the invalidation is so close, right? It's significantly closer than if we're looking at, where would this trend have changed, right? If this is our high, this is our higher high, here's our higher low. I mean, what's a closer stop loss, right? Just above this structure up here, which also happens to be right above that 70K level, which I've been most interested in ever since we bottomed in August. So is that a closer stop loss, or is invalidating at the bottom of this channel invalidating it? So I totally understand how things look very strong, and I agree that the bulls look strong. My only thing is, as far as risk reward goes for a leveraged trade setup, I'm more favoring the short side here. If we break out from this, I am absolutely okay with that. It's not like, I know a lot of people think like, and I've got these messages, both direct messages and like posts on social media and stuff, where people will say, you're going to get wrecked, you're going to miss the whole bull market, blah, blah, blah. That's what invalidation levels are for. Oh no, am I going to miss this much of the bull market? If you're worried about that, I mean, that's not a very kick-ass bull market anyways, if that's what you're worried about. I caught this downswing because it was a classic Stuber fib setup. I caught this swing because it was a classic Stuber fib setup. And just basically looking at it on my more laid out chart. Oh, actually, I erased it. But so basically, every time we set a lower low, I'm willing to confirm a lower high. So I'm not actually considering this here a lower high until we've actually broke a lower low. And that's where I start looking for the retrace, right? So, and that ends up at our 786, 886 once again. Again, not considering this our lower high. Sorry, this is distracting me, so I'm just going to change the color. I'm not actually considering this the lower high until we end up setting another lower low. Just, yeah, it's obvious that it was a lower high, but it's not confirmed as, a whole range. We haven't broke out of the range. That's not a confirmed level until we've got our lower low here. And that's my whole argument of being cautious at this level, is that so far we just keep setting lower lows and lower highs. Yes, it looks like we're going to break out. And if we break out, I am going to change my bias. I've had this plan for months now. I'm not flip-flopping every day or every few hours like a lot of people are every time the price moves a few $100s. Nothing like that. I've been very clear about this. I will be cautiously bearish at this level until we break 70K, basically. Because as soon as we break this, that changes the entire trend that we've started back in March, right? Ever since March, we have not broke a lower high structure when looking at these macro channels like this. That's 8 months. We've technically been in a slow downtrend. So as soon as that breaks, that theory is out the window. That trend has changed. The trend is your friend until the end. If that's the end, then great. You know what? It played out great. It's not like, I still hold most of my spot positions. I've been using some of my short profits to buy altcoins and meme coins and all that sort of stuff. So really, I don't care if we go up and I miss that little bit. Really, the couple scenarios I'm looking at right now, just kind of that diagonal resistance line that I was just looking at, is basically when we were back here, I laid this out for a few people. It may have been for all you guys in the VIP, but I laid out that basically I was expecting us to, since we lost this immediate daily support, actually it was up here more so, but after we lost that, I thought we would either come up, retest that diagonal resistance as resistance and reverse from there, or we actually end up breaking it next time. And there we've had more than 3 touch points on that trend line at that point. And then maybe it's actually a real thing that will flip from resistance into support and then blast off from there, break my 70K resistance. Then, at that point, I'm going to be more open to the idea of spot buying more heavily on pullbacks, as well as just more so trading the long side a little bit heavier than the short side. Moving forward from there, right? I'm going to be looking for those dips rather than the rips. Like right now, I'm looking for the rips, and we had a rip and we reached my target. So now I'm just being a little bit cautious. And that's basically the short I'm taking here, seeing it as more of a hedge than anything, right? Because either this trend is going to continue and this is the last stand for the bears, and we do get that big correction to the downside, then I'm covered. If we end up breaking out to the upside and my spot bags are doing great and I just change my bias with my leverage trading, then great, right? I don't care which way we go from here. As a trader, I always say this, it's so much more important to be able to react than predict. And I'm only going to react to price action that's actually there. I'm not going to think that, hey, something's happening in the news. I am going to be ahead of this, and I am just going to assume we're going to break resistance. As soon as we break it, great. We're so close. That's what's very comfortable about looking at it this way. If you're trying to long right into resistance, I would always rather be selling into resistance and buying into support. Whereas, the same people who got wrecked here buying into resistance and got wrecked here buying into resistance were also shorting into support and shorting into support, right? Whereas, those of you who have been with me for the last few months in my streams know that even when we got these bearish structure breaks, I was always open to the idea of a pullback to most often a Stuber fib pull, right? Just like the last few pulls there, right into the 786, 886. Next lower high to lower low, 786, 886. And this swing has definitely been the strongest swing so far, right? We broke that 786, 886. We have not broken the lower high level. We definitely haven't broken my 115, but honestly, to me, even getting above the 70, FOMO could really start kicking in and stuff. So either way, it's just a level to be cautious at, you guys, right? So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. How is it looking so far? Short is actually still sitting okay. Um, I actually, or actually, so yeah, and then some more reasons why I took this short, right? Sorry, got a little sidetracked there. Basically, that diagonal resistance, getting the retest, that is one reason why I'm taking that short. Also, looking at the 4 hour here, this is a Stuber fib. We came right up into that 786 fib pocket. That happened to line up with that macro diagonal resistance. So a couple things lining up there, right? Um, and what else? I can't remember what the last thing was. The DXY. I personally think the DXY could go higher because this Stuber fib, I mean, it did play out once already, but it hasn't played out this second time. So here we have our macro resistance when looking at this. This is the DXY. So on this downtrend, so here we would have had our low. We set a lower low. That confirms this is the highest point between the two. That's our lower high. And we broke that level here. So that bearish structure was actually broken. And that's exactly what I'm looking for on Bitcoin, right? The thing is, guys, even if Bitcoin does end up breaking this level, it could also do one of these. Just something to put on your radar. I don't know how likely it is because I think FOMO could really set in, but it would still technically be bullish, in my opinion, if we did something like that. It's just that even if we just slightly break above 70K and then pull back, I'm actually, even if we start dropping to the downside, I am going to be looking at that as a bullish scenario to actually buy the dip. You guys know that recently I've been more into, like I said earlier, shorting the rips, right? That's one of those opportunities where I am going to see structure changed. That is going to be a valid Stuber bullish setup in that case. Again, I don't know how likely it is. It's just something that I want on my radar and just to be aware of so I don't panic if it does happen, right? Because that would be our structure break, pull back to the 786. I would get mega bullish and we would look for there or from there. But you know, everyone would start getting bearish down at support again, whereas that's the one time I would actually be flipping. Like even when we came down to these levels, it's not like I was bullish, but I was still playing longs because I just saw reason for moves because, you know, we had our 786, 886. But the difference is we never broke our lower high before getting that 786 pullback. So yeah, it was more of a bearish target rather than getting bullish. But obviously an important level still, right? So yeah, there's I guess the couple reasons why I am in my short right now. So far, so good. I am tempted to close a quarter of it. I'm even tempted to update my stop loss to break even and possibly just re-entering if I need to. But for now, I think I'm gonna leave it. Um, what does the 5 minute look like? 5 minutes. So if we close a 5 minute candle body above a lower high, you know, I'm going to consider it this level here. Very micro analyzing, but just so that I make sure that I pay myself a little bit on this position here. Here's what I'm going to do, guys. Here's what I love to do, just so you guys know moving forwards, like, because sometimes I'll end up sharing the positions that I enter, and then, like I always say, always more important to react rather than predict. This is one of those times that, hey, you know what? If structure tells me that it could be changing, I want to downsize my position. Even if that's only on the 5 minute here. Basically, if we close a candle body above my yellow line here, actually, not even if we close, I'm going to set a partial trigger order to take profit. I'm going to call it 277. Sorry, let me just set my orders here. Bear with me. Trigger order. So automatically going to be taking profits on half my position if we break this structure. You know, now that, especially now that we've actually broke below these lows here, again, just very micro structure, but just for this immediate swing here, just confirming structure for what it is. We got our lower low, so that confirms my lower high. So if we break above that, I want to close half my position, pay myself a little bit, and then I'm at least guaranteed to pay myself, right? So even if I'm wrong about this, it doesn't matter. Analysis is one thing, but being able, the execution's the important part, right? You know, a lot of people will have their analysis absolutely perfect and they will still lose money. Whereas there's a lot of people who their analysis will actually be quite wrong and they'll make money anyways. And this is one of those situations where even if we break bullish here, I'm going to make money. My stop loss is now at break even. I have half my take profits at this red trend line here at 68,277. And you know what? If we end up breaking up from there, whatever, I paid myself a little bit and I'm going to be looking for a new entry. If we end up breaking this diagonal trend line, closing candle bodies above it, just since that's a daily trend line, even on lower time frames, I'll be zooming in and taking a look at it. We start closing above that. I mean, at that point, I'm going to start looking for longs, I think. I'll still be careful because there's a chance we lose it and flip it back into resistance. I'll still be looking to close part of my positions quickly, just like I always do, because I just have the habits of a scalper. I like to secure my positions very quickly. And if I catch a runner with half my position, then fantastic. But yeah, I'm probably going to mostly be on the shorter time frames today because I want to babysit this trade, and especially that I just shared it with you guys right before going live here. I think it's a perfect opportunity to go through my mindset while we babysit this trade. Just curious, was anybody brave enough to short? Oh, I guess I should catch up on the messages here. Nice, nice. I'm mainly short right now. Hopefully sitting in a. Hopefully you nailed the top like that. Hopefully you're not short from 67K or something. Depends on your leverage and your risk tolerance and position sizing and everything too, right? I mean, that's the thing. Everybody's going to trade completely different, so you just have to do what works for you. That's where, you know, I know I've been very, very vocally bearish for quite some time, and I've been nailing the downswings. But that does not mean that somebody who is bullish can also be nailing those downswings. Where they just happen to have a good scalping system and still nailing it, right? Like I said, it's all that reaction, the execution part. So, I mean, you can be bullish and I can be bearish and we can both make money. Hell, we can both lose money too, right? So, that being said, obviously anything I say, not financial advice, because as I just mentioned, everyone trades different. We could have the exact same indicators, the exact same trend lines, absolutely everything the exact same, and I guarantee we trade this market different. And that's where backtesting comes in, guys. That's where, especially like this trading view with using the replay feature, so beneficial, just so you kind of know, learn what actually catches your eye and know what your back testing percentage is, just so you kind of at least have some sort of an idea of your probabilities with your trade, and having a system in place for invalidation levels where you don't have to question them and be changing them constantly and stuff like that, right? And one of the reasons I should go over this is one of the reasons why I was so extremely bearish back in June was because of this. This is basically an here, actually. Remove drawings. One of my old favorite patterns was basically double tops. So I'm just going from the highest candle bodies to the highest candle wicks of an area. And notice we end up getting back into that level there. Oh, I don't have the RSI up. Let me... Relative strength index. Here we go. Oh, they both came up. So basically, one of my favorite trading strategies, because I back tested it so much when I first started trading, was this. I like looking for those double top patterns, and I like this exact bearish divergence. It's not, I don't like every bearish divergence, but the ones that go from very massively overextended and then testing, well, this red line here, or looking for a bullish one, I'd be looking for, something more like this instead. Oops. Down to that green line instead. That's a bullish divergence I absolutely love to play. Just like this bearish one here. And this bearish one with that double top is the reason why I got so bearish on this trend. And yeah, it's absolutely possible that it's run its course. What did we get from this double top box here? Ended up seeing a 30% correction to the downside. So maybe that's all it had. I'm going to go over a few things that I want to keep on my radar yet to watch out for. But, it's possible that's all it had. But yeah, going back to back testing, I back tested that pattern. I haven't for years, so it may be different in today's, scenarios or the way the charts are playing out. But I went back and back tested, I think it was 2 or 3 years of data on the 4-hour and the daily, because my eye was drawn to that divergence and those double tops, double bottoms. And I back tested over those couple of years, something like an 87% success rate. So when people were really questioning and, at this level, thinking that we have to break all-time highs soon, that's where I got very, very vocally bearish, because I was very confident in this pattern. And that all came from backtesting. It made me totally ignore the news. I ignored the Trump speeches. I ignored the Elon speeches. Everything fundamentally, period, I purposely ignored. I only look at the charts because, you know what? When I did my back testing of those few years of data, do you think I went back and looked at what the news or what the media was saying at those times? No, it was probably very similar to just like how it is right now. And I'm just playing the charts till the end. As far as investing, yeah, I totally understand investing based on fundamentals, but as far as actually actively trading, it sounds insane to me. Because at the end of the day, if those fundamentals are going to change the price, then the price structure will change. But again, that's kind of going on one of those, I think this is going to happen, so I'm going to trade it, even though the chart doesn't, even suggest it yet. So that's just kind of a lesson in backtesting and why I think it's so important, because so many people thought all-time highs were absolutely guaranteed right here and just got FOMO right into resistance, just like they did here with the Trump speeches. Just like what's happening now, and why I pointed out on Twitter that, insert bullish tweet here, because I think we're just starting to see a bunch of FOMO as we trade into that resistance box, which I just mentioned that I actually ended up taking a short at. And yeah, it might reverse and stop me out on the rest, but like I said, if I'm wrong, it doesn't matter. I'm going to make money on this position at this point anyways. A couple other things I wanted to touch on. I just noticed while I was flipping through my pages here. One, I like to bring this up every time, is the liquidations indicator. Let me just clear a couple things here. Just bringing up the MDX ALGO liquidations indicator. You can see, yeah, there's a little bit of liquidity building to the upside, but again, almost all of the 50 to 100x leverage liquidation levels are to the downside. And that's another reason why I just don't know if it's going to be a super easy push. Absolutely possible we invalidate all this. But as it stands right now, I don't know. I see, if I was a market maker and looking at all these liquidations here, that's an easy liquidity grab, right? So I think the market would actually be healthier if we pulled back and grabbed some of this, and then there's a more chance of a bigger run out of it. Whereas if we just come up and grab this little bit, it's possible that it is just a fake out and we still come back down. And remember that bullish theory that I had mentioned, maybe we just break up, but then get a big breakdown, which even though it's bullish, it grabs all that liquidity and then it's game on. that would be absolutely beautiful to see. I don't know how likely it is. That's just a theory to watch for at this point. But yeah, liquidations indicator. I don't use this to enter trades specifically, but I do like to use it as does it make sense? Does it make sense that we go to the downside? Yeah, I mean, there's liquidity there, so why not, right? Another indicator I want to bring up, the ALGO master. I know this is a lot of people's favorite indicator, myself included. These sell signals on the weekly chart, well, every signal has been incredibly accurate except this sell signal and this buy signal. Other than that, every one of these signals was absolutely amazing. And basically every sell signal except for that one was at least a 44% downswing from the candle close, right? I know a lot of times that indicators can pop the signal and it's far away from the price or whatever, but these numbers that I have here is actually from the candle close, right? So here, for example, yeah, it missed the move to down there, but then from there, that's where the signal would have printed. And from there, like I said, around a 44% correction to the downside. So even COVID, yeah, I know a lot of people are saying we can't crash. The only reason we did last cycle before takeoff was because COVID. It was a black swan event. Well, the indicator called it a couple months in advance. And the thing is, right now we have that same sort of structure, right? We actually even had that same bearish RSI divergence at the start of our range before getting that sell signal. We have that same thing. And this is another one of those things where, retesting things. Yeah, we broke our downward trend line on the RSI on the weekly. That's great. We might absolutely blast off from here because it's great that we broke that resistance. The thing is, what happens if what we did back here, and we're just going to kind of do one of these? I mean, that could take the price very low, even though it would be mega bullish, right? So just a couple things to consider there because the structure is just so similar to how it was right before the COVID crash. So I think there's a lot of black swans potentially looming just with wars escalating, uncertain elections, etc. How likely is it? I honestly don't know. We're trading right up to the sell signal though. And that's the other thing, right? Yeah, the sell signal printed when we were down here, but we didn't actually get to the sell trend until recently, right when everyone started getting bullish. So again, a lot of people love longing into resistance, right? And this is one of those potential scenarios. Yes, if we break through this and we get a new buy signal, especially a higher buy signal on this market cycle, we could really go for a rip. It's just another thing kind of lining up with my resistance level, right? I mean, this lines up basically perfectly with my 70K. Basically bang on, like 69,950, and my level is 70,000 basically. I mean, absolutely perfectly lines up there. So, I mean, if this weekly closes red right against resistance, I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. That could be let's put it this way. As I mentioned earlier, easily invalidated. All of my bearish theories can be easily invalidated at this point. It's just such tight risk to be looking at the bearish side at resistance. That's really my only reason for looking at this short position, for example. I want to see, speaking of that, what the indicators are doing. Sorry, I just have to check a message here. I actually just have to go answer the door here for 2 minutes here. Guys, I'm going to turn on my indicators here. We're just going to watch this position. I was just going to babysit this anyways for the next little bit. And you guys know how I'm looking to play it, right? I'm going to be taking profits on half my position here. Because even though we have a sell signal here as well, understand that this is one way I love looking at this indicator is I like seeing which direction these are trending, and we clearly still have trending to the upside. Higher sell signals, higher buy signals. So we get another higher buy signal. That would be another reason for me to end up closing half my position early. If we see a higher buy signal come in, that's always a warning to me that the bulls may be stepping back in. So that's basically what I'm looking at right now. I'm just going to be AFK for about 2 minutes here. I will be right back. enjoy babysitting my trade here. And looking at the indicator, what else? Auto charting tools, yeah, higher highs, higher lows, order flow. Yeah, we got a nice setup of indicators here. Absolutely beautiful. I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Yeah, there could be billions of in liquidations up higher as well. I only have mine set to high leverage just because I think it's more likely to play out quicker. That's just personal preference how I've been using it. But yeah, let's see here. I am interested to see if we break out to the upside because I do think that if my first half gets hit there and I take those profits, I think it's actually quite likely the rest of my position gets stopped out as well. Because even if we are going to continue bearish, I wouldn't be too surprised to see some sort of a Stuber fib come into play on the shorter time frame. But we have not broke any sort of micro lower high yet at this point, right? We have our lows, we set a lower low, so we got our lower high. So that's always kind of what I use as my first line of defense on a position. I'm, like I said, I am more of a scalper. I like to set take profits. I never, this time, if I'm actually watching my position, I'm not as worried about it, especially the fact that I have a partial take profit as a stop loss here. But yeah, my first line of defense, I just follow the very, very immediate trend, basically a series of lower lows and lower highs. And as soon as there's any sign that that may be broken, I just want to downsize my risk. I want to pay myself a little bit and go from there. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I like looking at these shorter time frames, right? Is just to have a live peek at how I do my take profit, my stop loss management, just how I manage my risk and stuff like that. Because the thing is, a lot of people struggle with trading shorter time frames. It's probably because they're trying to hold their positions too long, looking for that full on reversal. Like, I'm looking for a reversal here, right? But also understanding that, the 1 minute can bounce around a lot and it can, well, basically it can easily invalidate things. Structure can change very fast on a 1 minute chart. And a lot of people have a hard time doing that reaction I spoke of earlier, right? Being able to change your bias for what it is, even if it on the long term, we're going to get back up here, just test that resistance again. You know what? If I'm entering on a 1 minute chart, I want to be basing my risk and my take profits and all that kind of stuff based on the 1 minute as well. I'm not looking for a 4 hour move out of it. And that's why I always very quick to close a quarter to half of my position. And then absolutely, I want to try and catch that home run trade with the other half. I usually, yesterday actually, unfortunately, on my long, I closed all of it when I hit my profit, and then we did end up keep going. So that was another lesson learned to myself, why I normally leave part of my position running, just in case it keeps going, right? Even if I don't think it's going to, the market doesn't give a shit what I think, so it's going to do what it's going to do. And that's where I really like to just be open to the idea that, yeah, you know what? I might be wrong here, so I want to pay myself. But if we're going to just continue running to the downside, then fantastic. actually. Oh yeah, I said I was gonna mention the altcoin that I caught like an ADX on yesterday. Like I was saying before stream, if you know what goatsy is, if you know, you know. Um, if you know, you probably don't want to know, but you'll never forget it. So, frick, which one is it? It's not the regular goat that everyone's been talking about recently. Yeah, I can't even find it. I'd actually have to look up the address and stuff. But anyways, yesterday was a perfect example. You know what? I ended up buying just a very small bag of a random altcoin just to make me and my friend laugh. And when I opened my wallet the next day, or I bought it 2 days ago, and yesterday when I checked my wallet, well, that coin was up about 6,500%. And I didn't even think it was real. I was like, well, better sell half just in case. And it went through, and I was like, oh shit, this is actually the price. And then it kept going up. I think it ended up hitting an 80x or something. I sold another quarter of it, and then I just let some run because you know what? Even after an 80x, it was still under a $2 million market cap. I bought it at a $20,000 market cap. So it's just one of those things. It was totally a VLT type of gamble. When I'm playing with meme coins, I don't throw serious money at them. I just hope for those, those jackpot winnings like that, basically. So definitely the most degenerate. That's like the penny stocks of the crypto world, right? It's as degenerate as it gets. So I definitely don't put any serious money behind it myself. But there's money to be made there as well. But that was one of those things, right? Even though I was up like 60x or 65x when I checked, I never sold it all. I sold half of it. And then I sold more a little higher just because. And then I let some run because I was thinking, well, who knows, right? Maybe it goes up another friggin' 50x. Who knows when the market cap is that small? But I think it dropped 80% the next 2 hours, which was also a reminder. Good thing I took profits on the way up, right? That's always something you got to remember. You got to remember to pay yourself. What were a couple other memers I was looking at? I bought a couple small bags of some random trash. I have no faith in I have no faith in meme coins. I just assume that I've lost my money when I throw it at. But here's one I bought a little of, 200k market cap. What if, right? Eh? Sells itself. Might see a little reversal here. So yeah, I figured I'd pick up a little bag because you know what? That's a tiny market cap. Who knows? 100% gamble, not financial advice. Don't be dumb. These things are nothing but a gamble. Bitcoin. Let's check out the 1 minute. The 1 minute, yeah. So the 1 minute has technically broken. I'd be looking at something like this on the very immediate swing, low, lower high. It was broken. But I'm more so watching it on the 5 minute for my partial stop loss there. Even here, yeah, we have a buy signal. That is a bit of a warning sign, but it is a lower buy signal. So again, it's possible the trend's just going to continue to the downside. Sell signal, lower sell signal. Have to see from here if all of a sudden we set a higher sell signal. There's a good chance we would end up doing something like, higher sell signal, come back, higher buy signal, and, that could be, again, just the turning point for the 1 minute chart, basically. Just another way I like to look for, again, using the indicators for more than just entries, because that's one thing, guys. I find a lot of people just use the indicators in general, not just the MDX ALGO ones, but every indicator. People use them to desperately try and find positions. Honestly, quite often I do use them as far as trying to identify which way I should be trading, right? But I still like to look for my own trade setups. Like I still like to look for Stuber fibs and structure breaks and stuff like that, but just kind of using the signals for which way they're trending. But also, more importantly, in my opinion, well, just for me anyways, I like to use them as warnings, as risk management. Oh, maybe I should avoid this trade because the indicators don't agree with me. Or, maybe I should start taking profits on this position because the indicators don't agree with me. Or, things like that. So there's more than one way to use them, obviously. I think a lot of people have so much FOMO that they really only want to use things for one thing, and that's to get into a position, because people have a very hard time not being in a position. Last night I actually took another short as well. I just want to talk about the short that I took last night. I think I was looking at the 1 hour. And it was basically, we came up, so I was watching this range basically as potential resistance. Because we did have that nice little downtrend very briefly. So I was kind of looking at this as our lows. We ended up going lower, looking at this as a serious structure level of resistance. And this is one of those times where I was wrong, but again, I made a little bit of money, and I'll show you what I mean in a sec. But basically my reasoning for entering a short position there was, again, this was kind of the resistance I was watching, pulling a Fibonacci. We ended up hitting my 786, 886, filling it absolutely perfect. Just a perfect Stuber fib entry there, laddering in, getting the average entry right in the middle. And we ended up dumping to the downside. It looked beautiful. I was starting to eye up this level. That was kind of the target I had in mind. But I was open to the idea that maybe I'm wrong, right? Right here, I was sharing this with a couple of my students for my mentorship and stuff like that. I was just about to go to bed. It was 3 a.m. Basically ended up updating my stop loss to just above the 786, just in case we reversed while I was sleeping. And then I was going to consider taking partial profits if a lower time frame ends up breaking that lower high, just like I talked about earlier, right? With my 1 minute chart, or with my 5 minute chart, chasing structure with half my stop loss. That's exactly what I meant here. With the next picture here, you can see where I actually update that 20 minutes later, right? Trigger stop loss to TP, a third of it if we get back above 67K. And then I got stopped out on the rest when we broke above that green Fibonacci line there. So again, I was wrong, but being I reacted properly, I still made a little bit of money on the way, right? So just an important lesson there that I'm just showing you live now exactly how I did that last night. That was an example, as is currently. So even right now, right, you can see it just kind of looks like we might be starting to struggle a little bit. Actually, very curious. I'm pretty sure I can eyeball one right now, but you know where I'm going with this. So this is what I always say in my streams, that once you start to see them, you kind of see them everywhere. This isn't necessarily going to play out, and obviously the take profit would be very close, right? That's my range target. Yeah, unfortunately it's very close, but as far as a scalp setup, that'd kind of be, my average entry if I would have taken something like that. Since I ladder in at the 786, 886, average entry would be right in the middle. I never took it because I took one much higher, obviously. But that's just a typical setup that you'd be eyeing up this level. Yeah, and that's one of those times where someone might enter a position like that and not want to take profits there and say, oh, it's not worth it. It's not worth taking profits there. But if you're trading that strategy and you're taking that entry and then you're not taking the profit level, and then you end up blaming the strategy for not working out. I mean, if that's what I love about Fibonacci's, you guys. This is why I fucking love Fibonacci's. I trade them every single day. My reasoning that I like them so much is because I feel like there's so much, it's so structured, right? If this is my range pull, then this is the range that I'm currently playing. That's all there is to it. And that's why, like on the 4 hour and the daily and stuff, that's where, I was considering this my lower high currently. The reason that hasn't changed with all, people ask me, oh, Stu, well, we have higher high, higher high, higher high. I get it. I do see the higher highs and the higher lows, but those are happening in this channel. We have not broke the lower high of this channel at 70K. We have not broke the low at 49K. So since we haven't broke either of those levels, we're still in that range. And that's why that I'm still looking at this. I know we've broken through the Stuber fibs, but it's still technically a valid Stuber setup. If anything, you might have got close to a third entry. I mean, I'm not as much of a swing trader, so I'm not laddering into that kind of a position. But yeah, that's why my 70K lower high resistance has not changed. That's a quick explanation of that. Until this level or this level breaks, this is the range we're in. That's not subjective. That's just how it is. Like right now, we break through that. And that's another good reason, right, why I have my partial take profit there, is that would technically mean that this little mini Stuber fib is getting invalidated. And at that point, again, I'm just willing to take some profits because that's a couple things now lining up that if we break above, there's a chance we just keep going, right? Auto charting tools, I'm guessing it hasn't printed a new one for a while. Almost took half my profits there. Probably will. I find that quite often if we do end up breaking the 115, that then we just keep going. But again, that's why I leave a little bit of wiggle room too. I just like to leave a little wiggle room in case those numbers get hit perfectly or whatever. But to me, it does look like there's some strength here again, and I'm very comfortable closing half this position if we end up getting above here. Literally any higher, and I'll be half stopped out. You know what, guys? I was kind of hoping to look at some altcoins and stuff, but I don't really want to look away from this chart if I am at the computer. But honestly, I'm still run down. I still feel like shit, and I don't know how much longer I'm going to stay here. Actually, I will take a look at Solana, or sorry, and the DXY. No, never mind. I already looked at that. Or was that with you guys before the stream? I think that was on the stream. So I'm actually going to look at Solana. Because it has been ripping. Here's my thing with Solana. Just a couple things to be cautious about. Not that I think they're necessarily all that bad, but if I look at an exact trend line once again, we're getting very close to a third touch point. What I would really, really love to see here would be a perfect third. Nope. Let me get the right tool here. I would love to see a perfect third touch of that resistance with a minimal pullback and then break and flip that resist into support. I think that could be a beautiful setup. If we end up just breaking it on our third test here, the way I like to play breakout trading, I don't really take a breakout serious unless it has exactly 3 wick touches. That's just a personal preference of mine. That's how I like to trade them. I like to see 3 exact rejections, basically, and then the break above and that flip. So, unfortunately for Solana, it is technically getting towards my resistance level. Yes, it can absolutely just blast through. That's just one way that that's just kind of my rules when I'm trading patterns, basically. We are also technically trading into a Stuber fib there. So a couple things. Very similar to what Bitcoin's doing, actually. And actually, one other thing I wanted to touch on with that is I wanted to look at the Bitcoin dominance, because I know that had nuked not long ago. Oh, it's flying again. This is the 4 hour. Yeah, the one day. I think it was in this level. when we were doing this plunge to the downside. I mean, some altcoins were flying, but I see Bitcoin dominance is starting to climb again. Honestly, if Bitcoin's about to do its big breakout move, uh, actually, I should let me start over here. Bitcoin dominance, there's a few different ways it can be interpreted, right? And I think that's something just like the DXY, right? Everybody always assumes that, oh, if this happens, that means Bitcoin's going to do this. The Bitcoin dominance can mean very different things. If the market is healthy and, you know, very healthy and money's coming into the market and Bitcoin dominance is climbing, I think that's actually very healthy if, you know, money's flowing into Bitcoin, the king of crypto, right? And pushing Bitcoin higher. I think that's great. In a bear market and you see Bitcoin dominance start climbing, that can be that people are de-risking, right? People don't necessarily want to get out of crypto, or maybe it's easier to get out with Bitcoin. But people just are, their risk tolerance is going down. So Bitcoin dominance climbs because it's just a little bit of a safer asset, right? So yeah, there can just be a few different ways, a couple different things that it can mean. But if Bitcoin price starts climbing and the dominance is still flying to the upside while we're breaking all-time highs, I mean, I think that would be very, very beautiful to see, because at that point, when Bitcoin decides to calm its titties and basically consolidate sideways for a while, and Bitcoin dominance drops, but there's not a scare in the market, like Bitcoin is holding its own in some sort of a range on like an hour chart, even just some sort of a range, just calming down a little bit, and Bitcoin dominance drops, that's when you're going to see altcoins absolutely explode again. That would be so wonderful to see. Oh, did I get lucky? Did they just miss my stop loss? Usually it's the opposite. Usually they grab it to the penny, right? Where's where's coins and music when you need them? He would be saying that it's because I am the market maker. Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens here. What else can I find on Solana? Because I don't necessarily like. I don't want to sound too bearish, you guys. I want to be clear about that. I have been extremely bearish in the past, but right now it's more of just a level of caution. And I think that goes for both sides. Like people who are totally 100% committed to the fact that we have to go down to way lower prices, they can be in for a rude awakening as well, right? Like when I'm bearish, I mean, my opinion changes when structure. All my opinion needs to change is a change in structure, and I will totally flip my idea. The thing is, I'm not flipping my opinion on a gut feeling. And since I've been talking about it, I've been talking about my plans since we bottomed in August, right? So that's just kind of why I'm warning at these levels, because I was talking about these levels for months. Just be cautious when we get there, because FOMO's going to get crazy. Let's see what some of the indicators are saying. I'm going to get rid of that Stuber fib because let's just look for some bullish theories, because I have a feeling we're going to see some. The ALGO master, technically a lower buy signal. It did hold nicely, and usually I'm not watching the daily, to be honest. Usually when I'm looking for that kind of a strategy, I am on the 1 minute or the 5 minute, because I am more of a scalper. But so we do technically have this buy trend. I just understand there's a bit of a risk because it's lower, and also we tested it way down here, right? Obviously the time to get in was right against the signal there, especially with that little swing fail there. Just like that diagonal trend line I was talking about on Bitcoin, right? That's a little swing fail of that line. Beautiful entry. Auto charting tools. We do have a higher high here. Actually, yeah, that okay. But we do have that lower low since. So technically, actually, that bearish Stuber fib is still something to watch for. I'm personally not trading it. I feel risky enough by shorting against Bitcoin's momentum here. I'm not shorting this as well, but just understand we are technically at resistance there for a few reasons. What's the 4 hour saying? We do have higher highs and higher lows on the 4 hour. Again, we're trading into resistance at this point though. 4 hour. See, this is one of those things, right, guys? Look at those higher buy signals. Every one of these higher buy signals would have been absolutely beautiful swings to get into. That's why I love looking for the direction of these indicators, right? Not so much taking every single signal, but when I notice which direction they're trending, that's where they can call some very nice moves. Oh yeah, come to Papa. Come on, nuke this Ponzi. Let's see it. I do want to flip on the daily here for a second because, oh, BTC dominance. I don't need that anymore. Which chart was that? That was my degen chart. Let's remove some drawings. Let's bring up the auto charting tools and go to the daily. Remember I was talking about that structure at 70K wasn't broken because these are not my signals. This is the auto charting tools, okay? And notice that it agrees with the same thing. We set a lower low, which means we confirmed this lower high. That's just additional confirmation that, hey, this resistance level, it's still a real thing. Although I personally feel like we are going to break out anytime. That's how it always feels, right? The bulls always, I can't promise you this, but I'm thinking 99.9% of the time, the bulls look strongest at resistance, just like the bears look strongest at support. It's very normal that even I myself, looking at this and really taking a step back, keeping a very level head about this, I still understand that I feel like it looks very strong right now, but it always does at resistance. The bulls looked very strong up here. The bulls looked very strong up here. Here. The bulls looked, and now here. The bulls have looked strong every single time we've come up to resistance. So just understand that, right? That's where I'm able to trade against my bias, right? Like, I feel like it looks bullish as hell right now, but I understand there's still resistance there, so I'm still willing to take that low risk setup where I had that tight invalidation and everything, and hoping to catch a big swing to the downside. But if not, whatever, gonna take a little profits anyways. Oh, right on. Thanks for joining. I know it's pretty late for a lot of you guys here with me. Thank you for joining. My auto charting tools, how clean it is. That's the thing. All of the indicators. Sorry, one second. Sorry about that. Every indicator I use, I turn off most of the functions because I have very specific things that I personally like to see. The auto charting tools, literally all I have open is swing points, and I have them set to wicks because I like to see the very wicks. That's where I like to pull Fibonacci's from. And I mean, look at this, right? I know I talk about this strategy in pretty much all my streams. Love using the auto charting tools as just confirmation of where I should pull my fibs from. Just look at this. If I'm looking for Stuber fibs, check this out. Look at that short entry. Absolutely perfect. Pinpoint perfect. Let's check the next one. Perfect. Pinpoint perfect. This is the first one that it hasn't been absolutely perfect with that fib pocket, but technically that is still in play until we break this lower high signal. We break this lower high signal, that invalidates my personal structure point that I've been watching for months now. It invalidates this signal on a daily time frame. It invalidates this signal on the weekly. At that point, I am totally open to the idea of being a moon boy again. That's the thing, right? I'm easily persuaded. It just, the bulls I am very easy to persuade to flip from bearish to bullish. The bulls just haven't been able to do it, even though it's a very easy thing to do. I mean, all we had to do was basically push the price, what, $500 higher? Not even. And my theory would have then finally been invalidated. Yeah, it might get invalidated right away. Great. At that point, like I said at the start, I just adjust my trading strategies. Everything else remains the same. I'm happy either way. All I care about with this market basically is that it's volatile. From there, I really don't care which way. And it's a very relieving thing to not look at this market like a lottery ticket. Because a lot of people, even if right now, let's say we do go absolutely parabolic, understand that at the very peak of the market cycle, every one of your favorite influencers and all, everybody out there will still be screaming for we're going way higher, we're going way higher. Understand that's going to be a thing, and there's a good chance you don't cash out at the right time, right? That's just where you have to understand that, just holding on to that lottery ticket, it can still backfire, I guess. Whereas, like, if you're able to look at the market structure for what it is, then you can at least reduce your risk, right? I mean, even at these levels, I've been very clear about this the whole time. Even when I was shooting for much lower price targets, I was still open to the idea of going higher and was not selling my entire bags or anything like that, right? Basically, when we got this structure break here, 1 second, let me erase some stuff here. Basically, when we got back up to these levels, I think, when was it? June 13th was when I did my stream, right about there. And that's when I noticed that we had this big Stuber fib, right? That's when I noticed down here that, like, oh man, this is my favorite shorting strategy on a 5 minute or a 1 minute. Why would I ignore that on any other, on a 4 hour and a daily and a weekly? They all had the same thing. At that point, when we were here, that's when I ended up selling like 15% of my spot portfolio or something. So even though I was crazy bearish on the price, I still open to the idea of going higher. But it's just a very stress-free thing when, I don't care if we end up going up to 100K or 120K. Understand that I've been bullish since down at 20K or 21K or something, basically right after the FTX collapse. I was very bullish, and many of you guys will remember that because I've been streaming here for over 2 years now. But I don't care if I took 15% of my profits, of my spot profits, up at 69,000 that I was buying down at 20 to 25,000. I don't care. If we go higher, then I have the rest of my position, but at least I am willing to take profits when structure changes, right? Whereas a lot of people will have a hard time doing that when the time comes. So it's a very relaxing place to be in when you can just play the chart for what it is. I have a feeling even this wick is going to count as a higher high, and we end up going higher and hitting this stop, but I'm just leaving it for now. Well, guys, I think I don't know what's going to happen here. For all I know, we don't really break out of this range for another hour. Who knows? It might be in 2 minutes from now. Either way, my plans at this point. Taking half my profits if we break out any higher here, and the rest of my position is going to be stopped out at break even. I'm curious, did any of you guys take that short setup? I know it was right before the stream, but I did share it in the I know some of you guys are probably short on your own as well, so that's cool as well. But yeah, nice to see that it played out either way at this point, and hopefully it was helpful to kind of see my thought process while babysitting a position. Kind of the things I look for to flip my opinion and stuff. I actually want to go to the 1 minute one more time here. I have a feeling I missed a signal here. No higher buy signal yet. We did get that higher sell signal, but we did not get a higher buy signal yet. If we get a higher buy signal, I'm actually, you know what? I will look at the 1 minute for a little longer. If we get a higher buy signal, I'm going to close half my position and remove that order. Just because I think that would be an early warning sign that the trend may be shifting, and then whatever, right? I'll just take some profits like I had originally planned. But yeah, I'd really like to see what happens here with you guys. I'll stay for about 5 more minutes babysitting this, and if we don't either hit my partial stop loss take profit there, if we either do that or set a higher buy, I'll wrap up. And if it doesn't happen within 5 minutes or so, then just who knows what's going to happen, right? So yeah, hopefully you guys like looking at these shorter time frames. I think it's a way better approach for me to go over my strategies and stuff like that because they happen so much more, right? We can actually see live examples of how I'm using the indicators, how I'm setting my Fibonacci's, how I'm looking at structure levels and all that sort of thing. I know not everybody's into the active trading like that. I know a lot of people want to set it and forget it. It's just personal preference. I don't mind doing this. But yeah. And obviously trading the 1 minute and the 5 minute and stuff like that, it is not for everybody. I think actually not very many people should do it because I think it leads to bad habits, over trading, revenge trading, over leveraging, all those bad habits. Looking for home run trades on a 1 minute chart, I mean, it's just not realistic, right? So there's a lot of things to be cautious of when trading shorter time frames, but I personally keep a more level head when I'm on the shorter time frames. I find that I have a hard time keeping level headed when I'm trading like a 4 hour and stuff like that. I'd rather just know very quickly, like today, within what was that, 20 minutes or whatever. Basically, I knew that I was going to be taking, or at least breaking even on my trade, and now at least definitely getting paid on this position, right? Very quickly knew that. So it's just a nice place to be in because I have nothing to worry about now. But yeah, not for everybody. For those of you guys who are watching this later on my YouTube channel, if you want to be a part of these live streams with us, you know, getting involved in the chat and just kind of, and also there's a handful of other coaches as well, not just myself. There's half a dozen or so of us. But if you want to use these indicators that I use every single day, in my opinion, best indicators on TradingView by far. I've been using them every day for 2 years and they keep getting better. Yeah, if you're interested in the indicators and just being a part of these live discussions, these live streams, being a part of the Discord community, honestly, in my opinion, way over half the value is being a part of the community because everybody's learning from each other, seeing how other people are using things just like what I'm doing right now. If you want to be a part of that, there is a 10% additional discount down below in my description. Yeah, on checkout there. So, yeah, beautiful indicators, best community out there in my opinion. Also guys, something I wanted to mention, I did have my rep from Blofin contact me today and he wants to give me a promotion. It's gonna be live either later tonight or tomorrow. If you sign up to Blofin and use my or if you sign up under my link, you will get, I'm not sure what the bonus is yet. He just told me that I'm going to be getting some sort of a promotion for the next however long it's going to be. Usually it's about 2 weeks or so. But there's usually pretty good deposit bonuses and trading bonuses and stuff. So, and that goes for people who are newly signing up using my link. And also if you already have, then you will get access to the event taking place. On top of that, I maxed out the cashback as far as trading fees. So you're gonna, I think it's like every hour or something like that, they pay out 20% of your trading fees back to you. That can be nice too, because obviously trading fees add up. And yeah, I'm giving back the maximum that they let me in my profile, kind of thing. So you got 20% back on your trading fees using my link as well. So a couple things to look forward to there. Like I said, that promotion's going to be live. I'm going to announce it on Twitter whenever I get the go ahead. Actually, let me just see, maybe. No, not quite live yet. I will let you guys know in the chat when it does and on Twitter when it does, but be on the watch out for that because there's some pretty good deposit bonuses and trading bonuses there usually. I think we've done 2 already and they've been pretty good, so be on the lookout for that. Well, still haven't quite... Oh, nice. You know what's happening now is I love that we set this lower high signal on the auto charting tools. Even though it's just the 1 minute, invalidating these signals can be a very strong signal on its own. Quite often I use these as my invalidations. Like you guys know on Stuber fibs, quite often I use the 115 fib just to give that wiggle room and stuff. When I'm pulling them from these fibs, I take it as that's basically my invalidation, because usually if we break that, even if we do, let's say we break it and then get some sort of a pullback, so often that's just that's this one getting invalidated and then going to carry on the opposite direction. So I love that. I got very lucky with that stop loss, that partial stop loss, I should say. But I love that. You know, I would want to be taking some profits above there either way. Now that it's printed, that's just confirmation for that stop loss. So love to see it. Yeah, maybe we don't stop out half my position. Maybe we just carry on. Basically, I'm going to be chasing from now on for the rest of the night just to lay out my game plan, especially for those of you guys here with me now, obviously have these indicators. I'm going to be chasing these lower high signals. If we get any more on the 1 minute going into the evening, I'm just going to be chasing them with that half take profit stop loss and just leaving the other half at break even. These are a lagging indicator, right? They don't print right with the candle, these ones. But when they show up like that, whatever confirmations it was waiting for, it's suggesting that, hey, that should be our pivot point. So yeah, we break that, then I'm willing to lock some in, right? And if it, you know, if let's say 10 candles from now, we end up seeing one here, then I'm just going to bump my stop losses down, something like that. Should actually move. I'll move this resistance. I'll make it red now. Let's lock it in there. Boom. I mean, we are technically getting near support now, right? Now, technically, this isn't a Stuber fib. I want to be clear about that. We are getting close to a 786, 886. So yeah, absolutely, we could find support at any minute. But it's not a legitimate Stuber fib because we just don't have a real nice structure break. Or especially with these lower high signals here. I just don't want to consider it a Stuber fib because if anything, I'm looking more at the bearish one. If all of a sudden we see higher low signal print, then yeah, it's looking more likely. And even if that happened, I would also consider closing part of my position if we get a higher low signal somewhere in here. Just early warning signs, right, guys? Trading the 1 minute, not trying to be greedy at all. Just trying to make sure that I pay myself. Because, you know, if a 1 minute trade, this 1 minute trade's been open for almost 2 hours now. That's a long time to be holding a position open from a 1 minute trade, right? going to keep those fibs up because I just not as interested in the bullish side of things right now. All right, guys. I think I've been pretty clear about what my plans are moving into the evening here with this position. So I don't know how long it's going to take for any of this stuff to play out. So rather than just sitting here like this, I think I'm going to wrap up. Watch, as soon as I stop, it's just going to absolutely nuke or rocket ship to the moon or something. But anyways, legends, that is all I wanted to go over today. Hopefully you guys found this stream useful. For those of you watching this a little later on my YouTube channel, please do me a favor, smash that like up, hit the subscribe button. If you're interested in my absolute favorite indicators on the market, there's an additional 10% discount on checkout using the link down below, which gives you access to MDX Crypto's MDX ALGO VIP Discord group on top of the indicators. And like I just mentioned, I'm doing most of my trading on Blofin. No KYC exchange. There should be a link down below for that as well. For those of you who need a new non-KYC exchange or just want to back up in general, and as mentioned earlier, I'm going to have a sick new promotion there, probably running for a couple weeks if I were to guess. That's going to be going live either tonight or tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. Just there's a good chance there's going to be good deposit bonuses and stuff where you can just deposit whatever, and I mean depending what kind of return you want, right? And then you just have a free trading bonus to basically USDT credited to your account for trading. I don't think you usually can't withdraw that. You can just use it for trading, and then you can withdraw any profits that you make using those fees. So, or not those fees, those that credit. So yeah, with that, I guess I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.